What other equipments do Indian farmers lack?
Let's say for harvesting.
Okay.
Right? There are vineyards in India also, vineyards in US also. In US, if you go, normally they will have, first of all, genetically modified seeds, right? So mostly it will be like either you will have unique crops. So all of the bushes will be there, which will be, or vines which will be giving the fruit or the grapes or whatever, right? So they will be fruiting at the same time. Around the same time. So basically one machine you will bring, big machine, which will basically agitate the plant. The grapes will fall, it will collect, and it will basically become like an automated process, right? So it becomes like a machinery kind of a thing. Not just the machine, but the whole system becomes like a process, right? It's an industrial process there. So I met one company which is nearby in Bangalore only, made a greenhouse. And they converted all the production process into a batch-wise process. Hotels are the ones who need regular produce of food, right? Yeah. So they need, like, for every item that they are producing, they know how much they need to buy. They will need to ensure that every day they are doing a fresh chopping of vegetables. They are not using any kind of cold storage or any kind of long term. They will not store the vegetables.
Every day harvest happens.
Every day the harvesting will happen.
So how is that possible?
So they converted everything into a process, like an industrial process. Yeah. So first you have seeds. Seeds are grown to a certain stage. So that batch runs for 7 days. Then they have another stage after that where the plant starts growing.
Okay.
Then they have another stage. So they transplanted the whole plant across stages.
Okay.
And then the harvest happens at the last stage. So safety is one of a major concern that is there. In India, you can see a lot of road accidents are happening, and most of them are preventable. That is true. So something has to be done there. Yeah. Some kind of an add-on. You don't need a connected solution per se, because in most of the cases, what research has shown, most of them are because of the driver error or human error which is there. There are solutions which are currently available in the US, I'm not sure in India, but which can be added on the machine, which are basically similar to a visual monitoring system, ADAS systems. In some of the high-end Indian machines also we have ADAS systems, but these are of higher quality. And they monitor the surroundings in real time. They monitor your speed, they monitor the surroundings that are there, like how many people are there, who is crossing where. And then if needed, they can control the machine also. Okay. So that is definitely possible. In Indian vehicle industry, automobile industry is not that backward. Truck accidents are one of the major leading causes of deaths in India. Yes. Especially on highways, if you see. Yes. And mostly because the workers or the drivers are overloaded. Yeah. The idea is that we are trying to come up with some solutions which can be deployed on existing trucks, where we can monitor the how the worker is driving. If he's not alert, we can give an alert to the person, like, okay, there is a person, or you are not focusing on the road.
Hi Vikram.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on Weekend. So, yes Vikram, quick introduction about yourself.
My name is Vikram. I am the founder CEO of Hacklabs Solutions.
Hacklabs Solutions.
Hacklabs Solutions. I did my BTech plus MTech dual degree from IIT Kanpur.
IIT Kanpur.
In electrical engineering.
Okay. ECE or EEE?
So in our college, we don't have ECE as a separate branch. So we just have electrical engineering. So I did a 5-year course from there. So which is BTech plus MTech dual degree.
Is it like a MS course?
It's an integrated MTech course. Okay. So in normally BTech take 4 years, right? Yeah. So in a 5-year course, you get BTech plus MTech together. So,
smart, because you saved 1 more year.
Yes, that was the reason why it was created. Because
really, by the way, since you did in IIT Kanpur, right, was it an option for everyone, or is it an option for specific people?
So it's based on ranks. Normally, BTech degrees are filled earlier. Yeah. So then people choose the dual degree, but a lot of people then can have an option to convert it. Okay. So a lot of my friends later on then converted from a BTech 4-year course to a 5-year course.
Okay. That is a difference in the cost?
Not cost. IITs are subsidized, so cost is not an issue. You get stipend also in MTech. The idea is that you get an MTech degree in 5 years, whereas normally once you do a BTech, you go for an MS. That will take another 2 years, and then you will get a master's degree, right? So that was the only
just a time saver.
And basically you get a chance to do your PhD early if you want to go for PhD or any research, or if you want to build a career in tech, you have a master's degree with you in 5 years. So that is the reason why it was created, to like get more people do masters from IITs and also good quality people. Yeah.
From then you went to Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
So I joined Juniper Networks as an ASIC engineer. So I was doing chip designing there. So I was involved with the design team in Juniper. So we were making a lot of cutting edge networking tools.
Juniper.
Yes, Juniper basically is a company, competitor to Cisco, which makes high-end routers for between intercontinental lines are there, right? So there is a high bandwidth traffic that passes through it, internet traffic. So there are routers which are built specifically for that. So Juniper is one of the leading providers of such kind of systems. So they basically make such high-end solutions, systems. So I was working on the chip designing part of it. So every networking system which is there has a IC, or we call it ASIC in semiconductor industry. So that ASIC is what we were designing, which was specific to that application which is there.
Okay.
So I worked there for around 2.5 years. In the middle, while I was working, I got a chance to visit MIT. I basically did an entrepreneurship course there. I wanted to understand how things are working out there.
So you got this opportunity, or you went and applied?
It was basically I applied online. So there was one, I don't remember exactly, but there was some form, I guess, through which I first applied, and then they were shortlisting, then interviews, and then after that, while I was working, I went there. It was not like a separate.
So this entrepreneurship course was like 6 months or 3 months. So like
this
a crash course.
This was actually a week-long boot camp.
Okay.
It was a boot camp. And then after that, but I stayed in US for around 21 days there. So my goal was not to just go there for this entrepreneurship bootcamp, but I had this idea of creating something called a hackerspace in India. So I had hackerspace
means proper hacking, like
so hackerspaces are basically places where people can come together and work on certain ideas and make something out of it. So
like a jamming session for music.
So for similar to that in a tech environment, product building environment. So in US it was a pretty big concept at that point of time. So maker spaces were very common there, are still very common there. In India we don't have that culture where people will come together and build something. In colleges we used to do that, but after coming out of college I was not finding a place where I can sit with my other people and then build something and come up with some new product ideas and all, right? So I wanted to see how it is there in the US. So I got a chance to visit MIT Media Lab. I got a chance to visit all the hackerspaces which were there in New York, in Boston. I went to California. I went to a lot of places where such hackerspaces were there, just to understand what they are actually doing and can we do something similar in India.
So what happens? Like you said, they all gather or collaborate and do share, exchange ideas, right? So what exactly happened? Can you share any instance? Interesting.
So how they work in the US? So in the
what happened? You said you went to a hacker spaces.
Yeah.
So what? Any interesting incident like that was so interesting or surprising for me to experience?
So I went to this place called NYC Register, which is in New York.
Okay.
Right? So there
NYC Register,
yeah. So so there are a lot of hacker spaces in big cities in New York. There
so
are
is it like co-working spaces or coffee?
It's a co-working space, but it's not oriented to like a work environment. It's a hobby building project. So basically hobbyists will come, they'll work on their own ideas, or artists will come. So people from various backgrounds. So there I met one person who was a lawyer, and in his free time he was coming and doing some electronics. Right. So in India we will never see that.
It's like a cross industry training.
Or it's not a training. It's basically people just are interested in building stuff.
Exactly. It's interesting.
Like it's just like they find it interesting to make something unique which is not there, right? And they wanted to try out ideas. So there were people who were artists who wanted to dabble into electronics, and then they will come with new ideas like, okay, let's put electronics in the dresses.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right. So they will come up with lightings which can be put on the dresses, and they will figure out ways to change the colors of it and all. Or they will put some other like optical fibers and all, and then create some new fashion trends.
Okay.
So like that they were coming up. So 3D printer was when it started from one of that kind of hacker spaces. Yeah. So 3D printers and all these kind of they basically enable a lot of people to build stuff very fast, right? So that trend basically became very popular in US. So in US, people started making stuff, and it was already there in that culture. So in US, normally you have to do a lot of your work by hand, right? You don't have people to work for you.
Yeah.
So that building culture is already there in US, which is kind of lacking in India. Like we have people who can, electricians who can come and
ask plumber, electrician, gardener.
So in US we don't have
to either rely by themselves or use some mechanized robots to do the job.
So that's why they are building tools to make sure that they can do it more efficiently. One person or few people. So I went to one site where they were doing like solar panel installation.
Okay.
So only 2 people were doing the complete solar panel installation, right? So they had tools with them to ensure that they can do it efficiently. In India, we have, if we don't have enough manpower, we can easily get manpower, but in US we cannot do that. So that's the difference. That's where it becomes easier to build those kind of cultures there, right? So build culture to invent something new is very popular in the US, which is kind of still lacking in India. You will not see that happening in India.
Interesting. So you wanted to create that kind of a culture or a society or a club kind of a thing?
Exactly. So my idea was that I wanted to create Hacklab Innovation. So that's what the company that I started in 2014. So the idea was to basically create some kind of a framework where, or some kind of a place where people can come.
This hack spaces, right? Is it free or you have to make a pay to enter?
So there are different models that people follow, right? So if you look at in US, normally it's a membership based system. So people become members to that club. They get access to tools, they get access to resources, they get access to office spaces if they need. So there are a lot of places in US where they have big warehouses which they have converted into hacker spaces, where people, like in India we have co-working spaces, similar to that, but focusing on
industrial
tools are there. So you can do machining work, you have laser cutting machines, you have big welding machines, and a lot of things are there.
Exactly. So, I know a YouTuber. His name is Hacksmith.
Yeah.
He's making some cool gadgets of movies and some lasers and beams.
So that kind of a culture is there in US. Like you, so if you see all the robotic competitions that they have, all the kind of gadget making things that they do, right? So that is the culture that they have, right? On the tech side, which is in India, it is because of various reasons. It is not that popular. Like we have options available for us where we don't need such kind of gadgets.
So basically what I'm trying to understand, because of human resource, India or Indians in general are negligent towards innovation to make things in a easy or using less resource or less power way.
So basically Indians are innovative, but they are innovative on different things right now. So because our economy is not that developed, so they would be more innovative on the operation side of things, or on the business side of things, or on the financial sides of things, right? Because we have less resources, financial resources, you have to manage in that. But on the worker level side, like how many people are working, we are not that, especially on the lower end side of the pyramid, we have a lot of people working in that domain, right? So we don't have a need for tools as such. Using a simple screwdriver, you can become an electrician, right? But in US, you need proper tools to, because
That's why everyone have pickup in US, right? Pickup trucks.
Yes.
That they call it workhorse.
Yes.
Because they load their stuff. And,
right.
But in India, electrician comes in cycle most of the time.
Yes.
Hardly he has a bag which has screwdrivers, spanners. Right. That's maximum some nuts and bolts.
Yeah. So it's basically a it's not an easy thing to solve, right? So my goal of starting Hacklab Innovations was that I wanted to create some kind of a model where I can get people to work with me on building some products. My goal was not to convert it into a club kind of a framework. I wanted to come up with a different business model for it. So I thought like, okay, maybe the best business model for this kind of a framework would be to convert whatever prototypes we were building into a product.
So you are working on prototypes?
We were working on prototypes.
So
that was in
everything is your ideation and
not necessarily. People have their own idea. So we basically got people from a lot of places, like from colleges.
Okay.
So a lot of experienced people also came in Hacklab. So this was the previous avatar of Hacklab Innovations.
Okay.
I'm just talking about that.
Understood.
After that, there was a pivot that we did to Hacklab
Solutions. So we are discussing about Hacklab Innovations.
Yeah.
So your idea was interesting. Right. So you are expecting something like a hacksmith, like industries. So imagine I want to have a VR fantasy of making a hovering board. I want to. I'll reach out to you. Say I want to make a hoverboard.
Yes.
Without wheels.
Yes.
Right? Maybe with the magnetic levitations technology, something like that.
Exactly.
Got it.
So we made a lot of things. So we made a smart wheelchair, which could be operated just by your eyes. Right?
Really?
You can direct it. You can move it around.
Means the person who's sitting on the chair, or
the person who is sitting on the chair,
they can operate with just eyes.
Yeah, blink and eyes.
How?
So is there a camera? So there is a camera that we put in front. So that is monitoring the eye and the direction.
So it will be two sensors.
Yeah. So it is just monitoring where you are looking and whether your blink is how many times you are blinking. So if you blink it twice, it will start moving. If you blink it thrice, it will stop moving. Things like that.
And then
you can orient your view. So it didn't come out well in the sense that because eyes move spontaneously a lot of times.
So it was just
but it was one idea that we were trying out. Then
is it for one customer or is it for a industry?
So we wanted to convert it into a product. So
it's a little large scale.
It was a large scale. My goal was to convert everything, whatever prototypes we are building, into a product.
Large scale,
that was the business model that I was trying to come up with, because my goal was not to limit ourselves to prototype building, because prototype building is very common in colleges. If you go, people will build prototypes. They will build a lot of prototypes for a lot of different things, right? There are projects, there are school projects, there are college projects everywhere.
So that's how even the drone system. So we saw it in the movies, right? Drone system for surveillance. Now drones are
everywhere.
Common. I have a drone. So drones are very. Drones made life very easy for filmmakers, for especially industries to make surveillance. Even agricultural farming tools, drone have now become an integral part.
True. So the idea was to basically help people convert their ideas into first prototypes, right? And we were very successful there. So we were able to make around 55 prototypes of different things. We made one of the first telepresence robot in India.
Telepresence robot.
So
what does it do?
It's basically a robot which you can operate from somewhere else, and you can move it around. You can. It is an interface for other people.
Like a joystick. We can control it
so from your mobile phone, you can sit in office and then move it around.
It will do its job.
Yeah.
What can it do? Like move around?
Currently when we started that project, it was basically Mishkin was one of the initiator of that project. Mishkin was one of he was one of the tech geek at that time. So he worked on different project ideas. So he came to our lab and he said like, okay, I wanted to build this, and then we started working on it. So that was one project. It was called I2U2. And so that project basically became like pretty big. Like branding wise, it was good. So we were able to get a lot of people were giving attention to it. But obviously converting into a commercial project, right? That became like a challenge, especially in the markets that we were at that point of time.
Okay.
So like that, we made a lot of things. We made a reading device for blind people.
Reading device.
So basically a
Braille.
Not braille. So basically you have a book, normal textbook, and how do you ensure that a blind person can read it? So there is a finger mounted device. So that device, basically you just keep it on your finger, move it around on the
it will
book,
narrate.
It will narrate.
Okay, interesting.
And we made a lot of things. So we made an e-bike. So lot of different varieties of e-bike we were making. Then we made one projector system where we can do marketing on a large scale.
Projector system.
Yeah. So basically, so our idea was, so it was one of the crazy ideas that we had. So we have stationary posters everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to make it controllable and unique, right?
Okay.
So the idea was that depending on what kind of traffic we are seeing, you can have a different product being put. But instead of putting it through a TV screen, which may have its own issues, we were trying to use projectors for it.
Projectors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, projector idea is interesting, but the screen you will just post it.
So same
broadcast
screen.
On walls.
No, we can broadcast it on walls. We can broadcast it on
billboards. White billboards. Okay.
So the idea was that you can convert it into a model where instead of charging people for the poster for 1 month, you charge them for per minute or per hour basis.
Okay.
And then change the posters regularly depending on how much traffic is coming.
Interesting. That sounds amazing, actually. Maybe it will save a lot of cost on marketing, and it's quite innovative.
Exactly.
And through that, only because of that philosophy, based on users' requirement and users' result. For example, we post ads on Facebook.
Right.
If the ad doesn't perform well, if you're not getting a cost per acquisition,
right,
like targeted, so we stop the ad. Right?
Exactly.
So that's the advantage over the old school or traditional advertisements.
Yes.
So this technology is interesting. Why didn't it?
So one of the major problems that we were seeing at that point of time was that when we started some idea, right? So let's say we started the wheelchair project. We continued working on it for a few months, or even in this case 1.5 years we worked on it.
Okay.
But after that, either because the project was not getting converted into a product, right? Converting a prototype into a product is a huge task.
Yes, which it takes years because you need R&D and you need a lot of testing conditions.
And basically, we didn't have funds. So that becomes like a challenge, right? So I can't ask people to stay for a long time on their own, right? So everybody needs sustenance, money, and they need funds to sustain themselves. So that was the biggest challenge that I think I was facing at that point of time. So I would say I was a little bit naive. I thought like maybe if we were passionate enough and we were...
So weren't investors, because you're from IIT and you went to MIT and you had connections in US. So weren't any investors interested in this idea?
They were, but because this becomes like an incubator kind of space. This is not... So I didn't have that many connections in that domain, right? So you need good so I had connections with a lot of people, but not the right kind of people, right? So who would invest in these kind of ideas? So we need patient capital because these are long-term projects, especially because it involves hardware, right? So these are incubators where you want people to work on certain project ideas, right? So converting a project into a product, it takes a lot of time. And then in India especially, the ecosystem is not that well developed. So that was the reason why I think we were not able to convert most of our prototypes. So as I said, we made 55 prototypes of different things, right? We were not able to convert them into products because I personally was not able to focus on all of them. I wanted to stay away from the product because then only I can try and scale it horizontally, right? So so that's when in around 2017-18 we decided to focus on
solutions.
So to pivot a little bit and focus on one thing.
Okay.
So rather than doing it horizontally, do it vertically first. So that's when the pivot happened. So that's when we decided like, okay, let us not go into like, okay, do too many things at
a time. So
and focus on one narrow area, scale your solutions there, and once you have proven that, and you go through the complete cycle of building a prototype, converting into a product, doing these marketing, doing these sales, reaching out to end customers, getting feedback from the customers, improving your product, build that complete pipeline. So I had not done that earlier. So in my in Hacklab Innovations, it was all about building prototypes and then trying to convert it into products, but not going through the complete cycle, right, of converting into marketable products or
delivering to end customer.
So we built like 5-6 units. We gave it to some people,
tested and tried.
But not as a market
industry standard products.
Product. So that was one thing that I wanted to basically fix, which I had not done earlier. So that's when the pivot happened.
Once you started Hacklab Solutions,
right,
who are your first, how did you decided, okay, they are my customers? Right. Which industry or which sector or segment of people you chose as customers?
So when we started, I didn't have clarity as to what I wanted to focus on. So there were two areas that were there. One was like, okay, we can go into the industrial domain. Another was that we can go into the agricultural domain. So agricultural domain also was one of the areas where I was personally very interested in, because I felt that there is a lot of need for a solution that we can develop in that domain, right? So we did a lot of survey. So I personally
So
I went. So for the agricultural side, I went and met a lot of people.
When you say agricultural domain,
right,
you went to these industries, like there are agricultural industries or farmers
everywhere.
Everywhere.
So I went to farmer FPOs, farmer producing organizations. Basically, these are cooperatives which are formed.
Yes.
Right. So I met them. I met NGOs. I met farmers. I met people who are already doing like producing like industrial
farming. Yeah.
Industrial farming, and as well as industrial producers. So let's say seed producers and all. So we met a lot of people. We met people who were building greenhouses for farmers. So a lot of research we did, and then we figured out like it's a big need in India, but the problems are more of operational side rather than a technical problem. So most of the farmers, if I go to marginal farmers, they don't have big farms, right? So what they don't need a technical solution, they can't afford it. What they need is like, okay, they should be able to afford equipment, but without
heavy costs.
So probably renting would be a good solution there, right?
So when we say equipment,
right,
I think the last for example, for India's concern, green revolution is tractors,
right,
fertilizers, pesticides, water sprinklers, maybe somewhere here and there. This is the last green revolution developments I recollect in large scale.
Right.
What other equipments do Indian farmers lack?
So what I could
apart from tractors and the things which I just said.
Yeah. So equipments, there are a lot of, so when I went to a lot of research organizations also. So they have a lot of equipments for helping the farmers, let's say sowing seeds, right? Harvesting their crops, right? In US, if you go, you will see a lot of automation there, right? Because they have big farms. Once you have big farms, you cannot afford to hire labor to do that. You need equipment for doing that, and it becomes more efficient that way also. So that was the difference that I could see when I saw the local farmers. And like
one example, let's say 100 hectares of land
right,
a farmer owns in India, and 100 hectares of land farmer owns in US.
Right.
What is the major difference in equipments? What this US farmer has?
So I will give you some examples. So let's say for harvesting.
Okay.
Right? There are vineyards in India also, vineyards in US also. In US, if you go, normally they will have, first of all, genetically modified seeds, right? So mostly it will be like either you will have unique crops. So all of the bushes will be there, which will be, or vines which will be giving the fruit or the grapes or whatever, right? So they will be fruiting at the same time. around the same time. So basically one machine you will bring, big machine, which will basically agitate the plant, the grapes will fall, it will collect, and it will basically become like an automated process. Right, so it becomes like a machinery kind of a thing, not just the machine, but the whole system becomes like a process. Right, it's an industrial process there. So that's in the US. In India, normally we employ manual labor again. So handpicked.
Okay.
So we'll have people coming from Bihar, UP, who will be coming to these sites. They will be picking, but there are still issues there, because now in India also the manual labor is becoming very expensive. But first of all, the farms are not that big. So in US, if you see, there are 1,000 acres farms also. In India, we hardly have, average size is 4 acres, right? So doing a lot of mechanical automation there in a 4-acre farm is not possible. A lot of automation is happening on big farms, like industrial farms which are there. So basically
So you need to design your farm to fit the equipment.
Right.
Okay.
So I met one company which is nearby in Bangalore only. So they basically, what they were doing, they made a greenhouse, and they converted all the production process into a batch-wise process. So the idea that they had is like hotels are the ones who need regular produce of food. Right?
Yeah.
So they need, like, for every item that they are producing, they know how much they need to buy, and it's a regular quantity, because mostly the items that they will be producing are
selling.
fixed.
Yeah.
So they wanted to convert it into a process where every day they will be producing this many tons of vegetables or whatever is there, and then they will be selling it to hotels.
Only hotels.
Right? And it becomes like but they will need to ensure that every day they are doing a fresh chopping of vegetables. They are not using any kind of cold storage or any kind of controlled environment for storing so over long term they will not store the vegetables.
Every day harvest happens.
Every day the harvesting will happen.
So how is that possible?
So they converted everything into a process, like an industrial process.
Yeah.
So first you have seeds. Seeds are grown to a certain stage. So that batch runs for 7 days. Then they have another stage after that where the plant starts growing.
Okay.
Then they have another stage. So they transplanted the whole plant across stages.
Okay.
And then the harvest happens at the last stage.
Okay.
And
so every day the cycle.
Every day this cycle will complete, and it becomes like an industrial process.
Is it healthy? Like, are these genetically modified?
These are not genetically modified.
These are organic.
Because they were using greenhouse, so they were able to control the temperature inside. So they had fans, they had moisture control, a lot of things were there.
Okay. Do they do it in like a story kind of a thing, apartment like story?
No, it's a normal farm area.
Just controlled.
Just with a greenhouse.
Control.
Yeah. With a greenhouse. And so there are different technologies that are there. There are net houses, greenhouses, a lot of things are there. Depending on the cost involved. Greenhouses are a little bit costlier, but there were subsidies available at that point of time. So based on the technologies that you have, you can...
So a company is doing this?
They were doing that, yeah.
Okay.
And they were funded also. They got funded recently. I don't know about their current status, but within a year after I met them, I think they were funded.
Interesting.
So like that, there are a lot of innovations that can be done on the industrial, on the agricultural side. The technology part would be like, okay, if you want to monitor the NPK, like how much soil fertilizer content is there. So NPK is one of the parameters that you normally want to monitor in a soil, right? So those are you can build a tool for it or a equipment for it. Water monitoring, how much water is going in. So those kind of tools can be built. But mostly it's an operational, because technology wise you can't do much there. High tech development, but now people are coming up with, let's say, I know one company based out of Bangalore only. So they are making small tractors which are autonomous.
Okay.
Very, very small. For small farmers.
Okay, like a mini robot.
Like so, you might have seen, yes. So like a very, very small robot, half the size of a tractor, of more than half, 1/4 of the size of a tractor, and it's an autonomous thing, and it will just go around the farm and then do the pesticide spraying. It can do the harvesting. It can identify which plant has any disease. It can alert the person that okay, this farm is having this issue. So like that, there are a lot of innovations that can happen. Which is very common in the US side because you can do that on a large scale. In India, you can only do it on a small scale.
So, how do you see in that case, since you have done research, how do you see the future of farming? In the future, will Indian farming will also turn into industrial? So all these farmers have to sell their lands or have to go under a big network or a syndicate of farming industry? Is it like that?
It's a political process in farming because almost 50% of the population is still dependent on farming some way or the other. Right?
So I'm not saying it in a wrong way. I'm not saying that the farmers will die. I'm not saying farming will craft will die.
Right.
I'm saying there is the issue of human resource, because now the human resource cost is increasing, because those resource can work for a construction company and earn 100 rupee or 200 rupee extra per hour or per day, right? So the farming labor becomes a shortage. So in that case, a single farmer cannot manage even the 4-acre or 2-acre land by himself. So are they making any syndicate, like, okay, let's say we have 100 acres of farmers from 30 to 40 farmers. They make a club, they club together and they invest together to procure these equipments or facilities. Is there a system like that?
There is a this is very common in India nowadays. So and government is promoting it. So these are called FPOs, farmer producer organizations. So these are like proper organizations where people pool in their resources. There are 500 farmers, 1,000 farmers, some are even bigger. They pool in their resources and they set up a corporation. Right? And the structure of this FPO is like a corporate. So they will have a CEO, they will have managers, right? And their role is to guide the farmers what to do, like what to produce, how to market it, how to. So maybe they. So I met one in Nasik. Right, so there I met the FPO CEO there. So he was working with around 500 farmers there. So they tell them, okay, this particular crop probably will have a higher price this year.
Okay.
Right. There is a bigger market for this crop in Bangalore than in Pune. So rather than sending it to Pune, we can try and ship these to Bangalore directly. Right, because all these decisions that
made
particular
by the CEO.
That CEO can have a bigger impact there, right? Because an individual farmer will not be aware of these things. As a farmer, I will not know what is the status of the produce in different states, right?
Interesting.
But that can be done through a professional organization. So that is the status, and a lot of farmers are actively working.
This is related to, say, after sales or planning of what crop to be harvested, need to be sold for the season. So this planning is fine, but are they focusing on innovation? These CEOs, are they targeting on, okay, we need heavy equipments, we need to ask government for subsidies or support to lend these equipments?
So, obviously these FPOs have a lot of investment done on the farming equipment side also, because they try to pool that resource also. For a 4-acre farm, you don't need a heavy truck. In India, one of the biggest issue is that even a small farmer is having their own trucks, is having their own tractors, and you don't need those kind of investment done there, right? So these FPOs are trying to educate the farmers, like, okay, do not buy these equipments. Okay, get it rental. So there are rental companies which are out there. Mahindra has one of them. A lot of other companies have it. So rather than buying such big equipments and investing all your money into that, you rent it out. They will charge you some per hour basis or per day basis, and that's more than enough for you to till your farm. Or take out the harvest and all, right? So there are harvesters, they are tilling, there are a lot of equipments are there. And equipments, if you see, there are a lot of companies which are making already big farming equipments. Obviously, the need for an Indian market would be a little different. In US, you see like very, very big equipments which are like scale you can't even imagine in India. In India, obviously, the size of the equipments are smaller.
Mower market is huge, right? In US.
Yes.
Lawnmower is you cannot find any lawnmower in India.
Their lawns are not there.
Yeah, there is no lawns.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then lawn culture is not there. So
right.
there is no, even in high societies,
Yes.
like in high society apartment where they maintain gardens or lawns, they use manual labor because it's affordable.
It's
right?
affordable, right? So in US, that is the reason why, because you cannot afford a manual labor, so you have to build technologies for it. So again, it comes back to the same thing which we were discussing.
Yeah. So from there, your Hacklabs solution started.
Yes.
So now we were discussing about how you pivoted towards Hacklabs solutions, and you're focusing on this agricultural product. So where did you end it?
Yes. So we were not focusing. We were just trying to learn.
Okay.
Like we were trying to understand the market. Like, okay, there is an industrial market. In industries, there are a lot of requirements. There is a requirement for productivity management.
Okay.
Because already, so industrial processes are very streamlined by design, right? Industries are like, since the industrial revolution, that has been the goal, right? To monitor everything and to predict what is going to happen, what is going to be your produce, to manage and collect data for everything, and then ensure that it becomes more and more streamlined, right? So that has been happening throughout history. So quality, productivity, there are a lot of solutions for that in industrial domain if you go. But safety is one area where we could see, at least in India, there was not much of a
emphasis.
Tech emphasis is not there. Obviously, companies have their own emphasis.
The fire safety, mandatory
laws are there which they have to follow. They are a little lax in India compared to US or European market. But still, laws are there which they have to follow, and factory regulations are there which they have to follow. So, but we wanted to ensure that when we build a solution, it can help people across multiple domains. We wanted to build a solution where we can make an impact. So that was one of the goal why we were looking at these areas, right? And we felt that safety is one of the field where we can do a lot more things, because it is kind of very unpopular topic among startups in India.
Okay, so what basic safety, after there are laws, there are fire safety regulation, these companies have to follow, but what basic safety which was lacking when you did your research, this we have to fix, what was that?
So safety in itself is a study topic, right? So there are a lot of technical details that we also had to learn. So one of the pure thing that we wanted to achieve was so in India, a lot of emphasis is on PPEs, which is a protective equipment. So basically, if a person goes to a site, he has to be a helmet, right? He has to be like safety harness, safety vest, and those kind of things. But a better solution would be to have a tech-enabled solution where we can monitor things, and before it fails, you predict it. Right. So the best thing would be to eliminate the hazard
accidents,
right? Whatever hazard is there, so it can be a fire hazard. So if a gas leak can happen, how do you make the system in such a way that the gas leak itself cannot happen? So that kind of safety you will see very popularly in nuclear plant. So there will be a lot of safeguards to ensure that none of the radioactive materials are leaking out, right? So those are safety by design principles, right? So they will have engineering done in such a way that it is by design very safe, right? But that is not possible in all the factories. Like in a chemical industry, you cannot just ensure that every process is safe, because there are a lot of chemicals.
Then you need to put a lot of layers on top of it,
and it becomes very expensive. So that was one of the areas that we wanted to build some technology solutions where we can prevent some accidents from happening, rather than waiting for the accidents to happen and then take a reaction on top of it.
One example.
So one of the first topic that we worked on was basically collision between a person and a machine.
Person and a machine.
So there are a lot of machines which are working inside a plant.
So which industry is it? Like what kind of industry?
So it can be a warehouse. So we started with a warehouse.
Warehouse, yeah.
Right. So in a warehouse, there are forklifts which are moving around.
Yeah.
So forklifts are like big...
like carriers, right? Which have to fork kind of a thing. It goes under the...
It goes under and picks it up. So there are reach trucks, forklifts, lot of big machineries are there. So these machineries are moving heavy loads. So 1 ton, 3 ton, 18 tons, more than that also in some cases. And then they are moving in a very congested area. So they are racks everywhere. You don't have any visibility.
Yeah, and these racks are like 12, 20, 30 feet high.
So you have to pick the load up and you are focusing on your work, right? And if a person is also there beside you, you may not see it. Because you are focusing on your task. It's not like everybody is willfully not doing it. It's just that they are focusing on their task. They have to do the operations. They have productivity timelines that they need to meet. So they focus on that, right? And as a human, you are bound to make mistakes in such high pressure environment. So that is where we felt that there is a good chance of putting a technology there, which can prevent a person and a machine from getting hit, basically.
What does this technology do?
So we started with that. So that was the first project that we got. We got it from Unilever.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So this project, basically, what we started with is, so we wanted to build one sensor which is mounted on the machine, and we gave one sensor to the person, whoever is entering into that area.
Okay. And
this sensor basically was communicating with the machine continuously.
Okay. And, is it like a LiDAR kind of a technology?
It's not LiDAR. We were using UWB, which basically allowed us to give accurate distance between a machine and a person. And that we then build a control system on top of it to ensure that if a person comes very close to the machine, we'll stop the machine.
The machine will be stopped.
Stopped, slowed, whatever is possible in that machine.
So it's like a sensor on the car, on a car.
Right.
On a pedestrian, they both have a sensor attached to their body or system. So these sensors will communicate the distance between both the objects. And if it's
near
crossing the permissible limit, it will stop. The machine will stop. Because human is tend to make mistake or tend to proceed. So machine will stop.
Machine will stop. So that was the first project that we did. And we were able to scale it to around 15 plants of theirs, 15 factories of Unilever.
So is it kind of for you said sensor, right? So one sensor, it's easy to fit a sensor on a fork lever, like the truck or the lifting machine. So how do you fit the sensor on human? Is it like a gadget which they need to attach?
Yeah, so we had two options. Either they can, so we had helmets which were placed at the entry point. So when they were entering into that area, they will wear the helmet and come, which had the sensor in it.
How big is the sensor?
So
is it heavy?
It's a small sensor. It's
size of the mic?
Double the size of this.
Double the size of the mic. Okay.
So it's a sensor which was already fitted on the helmet. They don't have to wear it. Just wear the helmet and then enter. Once they exit it, they just...
Okay, I have a very, very curious question. This can definitely give a breakthrough to your business. This sensor, instead of being a machine like this, like a separate gadget, why can't they integrate within the smartphone, within the individual smartphone? So
because smartphones are not, first of all, in many of the industries, they are not allowed.
Okay.
And second of all, you can't control it. What kind of smartphone the person is bringing. Some of them are bringing low-end because many of them are laborers, right? They are contract workers.
They don't have a high-end smartphone. Okay.
So, and a lot of the technology that we have right now in our smartphone does not support this.
This facility.
So basically, we want a accurate distancing to happen. We can't use Bluetooth there.
No Bluetooth.
Bluetooth basically cannot give you high accuracy.
Distance. Further it goes, it doesn't work.
So the accuracy level is very, it's not very good. So let's say if I want to set my parameter like around 2 meters, I want the machine to slow down. So if that accurate 2 meter distancing with Bluetooth, with the previous generation of Bluetooth, it is very hard to get.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this question was, what if we actually install this system in all the cars in India, on all the smartphone users? If I'm having a phone on my pocket and I'm crossing in a hurry, or if there is a high speeding car, I'm not we both are not connected. In your case, industries, all the people and the machineries are connected. They come under one system, one company. I'm talking about individuals in society. We are living individuals, and there is an unknown car coming. apparently the car have the system,
Right.
the sensor system,
Right.
and I have installed this application of yours on my phone.
Right.
If that works,
Right.
it can save thousands of lives, right?
Yes, but
So
there are few issues there.
Okay.
First of all, in industries, it is a very controlled environment. Right? You can ensure that everybody is having that sensor when they are entering, and you can build control system on top. In a car kind of a setup, so this is similar to a connected car framework. A lot of research is going on in that domain, like how do we make autonomous driving possible, or how do we make sure that accidents are not happening. But mostly when you talk about cars move at a higher speed. Right? They go at 80, 90 kilometers.
The brake resting.
So distance that we have is going to be very high, right?
They brake at 12 to 15 meters sometimes.
Right. And then distance is only not the criteria. So direction is a major criteria. So basically, you don't want to stop the machine if somebody is coming from the left side, right? Because you are moving you are going front, right? So you would want to stop the machine only when something is coming in front of it. So there are solutions now. LiDARs are coming up with a lot of autonomous
exactly. So these are coming for the developed countries for the high-end EVs. For example, Tesla could install this kind of. They are working on these kind of technology, and it seems working for them in some cases. Definitely in the future it will reach. But in India, we are still driving cars which doesn't even have Wi-Fi Bluetooth connectivity inside the car. So we are driving analog cars still, 15-year-old, 20-year-old cars. For us to reach that level will take another 20 to 30 years, or maybe 15 years. The best I'm saying is 15 years to have an integrated high-end cars. Instead, if you make a gadget, because this fork levering machine, right? It is not a high-end. It's an analog machine. It's an analog machinery. Since you were able to bring this technology integrated with the machine and saving employees, of course, it's a controlled environment. Maybe the flooring is smooth, so it doesn't have obstacles, or it have a predicted obstacles. So it has it's kind of a course, right? It's a course. But if you work for the larger scale, maybe this technology, if I own a 10-year-old Tata Safari or 15-year-old Tata Safari, or if anybody is buying a new latest Mahindra vehicle, they can just install this gear on their car, and everyone who wants to be protected can install the app, and it can make an impact. So that's something popped up in my head because we are talking on this topic.
So safety is one of the major concern that is there in India. You can see a lot of road accidents are happening, and most of them are preventable. So that is true. So something has to be done there. Some kind of an add-on. You don't need a connected solution per se, because in most of the cases, what research has shown that most of them are because of the driver error or human error which is there. Either the person is pedestrian is not taking care, or
they just cross. India, anybody can cross at any time.
That's or the driver is moving very fast. So there are solutions which are currently available in the US. I'm not sure in India, but which can be added on the machine, which are basically similar to a visual monitoring system, ADAS systems. In some of the high-end Indian machines also we have ADAS systems, but these are of higher quality. And they monitor the surroundings in real time. They monitor your speed, they monitor the surroundings that are there, like how many people are there, who is crossing where. And then if needed, they can control the machine also. So that is definitely possible. In Indian vehicle industry, automobile industry is not that backward. The new models which are coming up, they all have electronic controls.
They are advanced. I'm not talking about the latest one. That's the reason. And latest cars are a segment of the market, right? In India, people don't switch cars every 2 years or 3 years. Car stays for like 15 years or 20 years.
India has that problem.
So they have a sentimental value towards the car, and they don't want to sell the car. Or they don't. There is no culture of having 3-4 cars in a household. There is a 4 cars in a 5 to 6 household, or more than that. I think that's the average. So in that condition, so that's why, since you're a Hacklab
Solution.
so before that Hacklab
Innovations. Yeah.
Since you're a Hacklab innovation founder, so maybe this kind of a project is very interesting for you, right?
So we are discussing one project with one company to deploy this kind of technology on trucks.
Yeah. So that is a major cost saving and revenue saving industry.
Right.
Imagine a truck accident.
Yes.
Of course, it's a loss of life is there, but the cargo, loss of cargo is also heavy.
So truck accidents are one of the major leading causes of deaths in India.
Yes.
Especially on highways, if you see.
Yes.
And mostly because the workers or the drivers are overloaded.
Yeah. They are drunk and overloaded.
So they have a lot of time pressure. They have to travel certain kilometers within certain duration of time.
Drink because to stay awake.
Exactly. So they have their own issues.
Yes,
it's a
exactly.
Very complicated thing to discuss here. But the idea is that we are trying to come up with some solutions which can be deployed on existing trucks, where we can monitor the how the worker is driving. If he's not alert, we can give an alert to the person, like, okay, there is a person, or you are not focusing on the road. So those kind of technologies we are currently working.
Because trucks are, we are talking about cars.
Right.
Trucks are like 30-year-old trucks still runs on the street roads, right? Those trucks are heavy trucks.
Right.
It doesn't have
most of them do not have air conditioning also,
no air conditioning. I think trucks don't have air conditioning in India, right?
Don't have.
So look how backward it's still very analog, it's a diesel truck, which is like what, 10, 20, 25 years old
10, 20,
yeah. We don't see advanced latest truck what we see in like Transformers in India. I've never seen such a truck. And Tesla truck is like next level. But there is no sign of seeing that anytime soon. So of course, I think we need a lot of innovation, gadgets, Hacklab innovators like you should make some technology for them.
So we are in discussion with one of the firms on doing that.
Okay. Which firm? Like Ashok Leyland? Like
no. So it's basically a transporter organization.
Okay.
So they have around 1,000 trucks.
Okay.
So North India. So we are discussing with them how to come up with a solution for it. So basically something which has to work on the field. One of the major criteria of developing a product is, which we have understood now, is things you can make in your head and then you can make it on your table. But when it goes to the field, there are a lot of different challenges which come.
Environmental challenges.
So you need to make sure your user experience is proper. Like the operator, otherwise if you give him the impression that he's being monitored, he will break it within one day. So it will be gone. And he will say it is not working. Right. So those kind of challenges we have seen on site. Like so we have a biometric system that we have installed with most of the machines. Now we can monitor who is operating, how he's operating, and all those things. Within few days of us deploying it, we find a report from the company saying that, okay, this sensor is not working, or this connector is broken, or this thing is broken. So this is also one of the major things that needs to be resolved. So how do you make a solution where you do not give the impression to the person that, okay, you are being monitored? And our goal is not to monitor a person. Our goal is to improve his product.
Stop accidents.
Stop accidents, to make sure that he is...
Stop human errors.
So before he is making a accident, how can we prevent it from happening?
Maybe if he's drowsing.
Yes.
Stop, alert, stop, seize the engine.
Exactly. Not give him an alert first. So like, okay, if you are not focusing on the road and you are seeing here and there, ask him to focus on the road. Just give him a beep or a couple of beeps, or in an audio language you can give him alert. Like, okay, focus on road, focus straight, look in...
Some alerts, voice alerts,
right? So those are the things that we need to basically, we are working on. So that's the idea. So converting a idea into a product takes a lot of time, lot of effort. Right? And lot of time goes on in understanding the problem first, which is what I think many of the people don't do. So I come up with an idea, I think that it is unique, and I start building it, which is what we were doing earlier. But once you know that, okay, these are the customers who are there, who who are looking for this kind of solution, or this is the problem which is there, this is the price point that I can meet. So if we do it in a proper research process, right, it might be more suitable to convert it into a product which can scale. So that is what we have learned the hard way.
Okay. So now your customers are mainly through warehouse?
Yeah. So we have a lot of companies who are our customers. We have mostly Fortune 500 companies or MNCs. Right? So these are companies who are focusing extensively on improving the safety of their workers. So we have warehouses, we have FMCG companies, we have mining and metal industry, we have paints industry, we have a lot of chemical industries which are there, a lot of food industry warehouses. So warehousing, wherever it is there, where forklifts are used, our products can go there, right? So it's a big industrial market, if I can say.
Again, I have a personal question. So this is out of my mind. How about the sanitation industry? For example, the sanitation workers who pick up the garbages, right? And who clean the garbages, like clean the drains, manholes. So, is there any solution for? Of course, there is solution. We have seen here and there on an article, young boy building a robot or young boy building. But is it operational? Are we using?
So there is one company in Kerala which I am aware of. So they are building products there. So which is an industrial machine which can go and clean the manholes, which is functional.
There are some here and there, but I'm asking about wide solution because what solution is smartphone. Smartphone is a solution. Everyone got a smartphone on their hand, right? So that's a revolution. It's a solution. Tractors is a solution. It replaced bulls or cows to farming, so it's a solution. So I haven't seen such a solution in terms of sanitation worker, for sanitation worker. It could be like a mechanized thing which can still people are taking garbages on hand. I still see people separate. There is a guy sitting on top of a truck, garbage truck, separating the garbages like a plastic waste or junk. It is very heartbreaking to see such scenes in Bangalore. We call it Silicon Valley, right? Which is technically or advanced city in India, supposed to be. So still I see these things here. So how do we solve it? Like, what is the solution for it? There are someone making a prototype. So how do we solve it in a large scale?
So I would say this is a very complicated problem because it is not a tech problem. Technology is there, right? There are a lot of technical solutions which can be deployed. It's not a tech problem. It's a motivation problem, I would say. Like, people who are going inside manholes are not the top class of people. And that is where the class divide is very apparent in India, right? So people who are basically in India, labor is cheap and technology is expensive, and nobody wants to invest in it. If there is a government who wants to invest in it, there are already solutions out there. It's not like it's an unsolved problem. In West, you can see nobody goes inside the
exactly.
So it's not like there is no technology out there which can be deployed, right? Everywhere there are solutions which are already present. It's just that we need somebody who can take an initiative. And
since you are solving industry problem, I find this is an industrial problem.
Yes.
What should you do in order to solve it? Should you sell the technology to, let's say, BBMP, like a Bangalore Corporation Authority, and Mumbai Corporation Authority, or a Chennai's Corporation Authority, CMD. So like this, do you need to sell this technology to the government or the cities?
So there are different business models that normally companies have. One is, so I'm not very familiar with this area, but what I have learned over the years is you can either provide your service, right? So rather than a person going inside, which is also charging some money, right? So you can bring your tools, do the same work,
Yeah.
using the tool and charge the same amount of money.
Exactly. Right? So they become like a freelancer. So actually, manhole cleaners or manhole person who clean it, they are not professional who does it every hour or every day, like 9 to 8. Right. They are like a freelancer. Whenever there is an issue, they call them. So why don't he hire this equipment or gadget? Like
So some business model can be evolved on top of it. So the person who is currently cleaning can be given an equipment, and instead of him going inside, he will charge for the equipment doing the work.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's like a borewell digging machine.
Right. So so I feel that solutions are there. There has to be initiative that has to be taken.
Somebody so who has to take the initiative?
So first of all, I think in India, citizens are not that proactive. So if we see somebody doing manhole labor, we feel bad for him or her for some time, and then we go back to our work. Right? If you see the same thing happening in the West, the people themselves are very particular about what the other person is doing. Right? In India, that because of I don't know what many sociological issues might be there. I'm not exactly aware of this, but I don't have an easy solution for it. It has to be a mixture of a political will, because obviously DVMP or any corporation is a political body also. Like there are elections that happens. There are a lot of political parties which are involved.
No, I'm saying it's benefit for everyone, because hiring 10 human resource, paying them salary. I'm not saying it's wrong to pay them salary for sanitation worker. For example, sweeping the road is fine.
Right.
Collecting the garbage is also fine on a truck, but dividing the garbage on a bare hands,
that is not good.
That's not cool, right? Because a guy does this on sitting on top of the garbage van while it's moving. So it's and even it's dangerous.
Even though we have laws which ensure that you need to do segregation at source. So why the person is doing it? Because the person who has given the garbage is not segregating at source. In US, if you go, or in any other Western country you go, you segregate the garbage at the source itself. So they will have various kind of bins. Right? In airports, you might have seen there are various
3 bins: wet, dry, and electronics and medical waste.
So like that in Germany, my friend is there. He was saying that they have 4 kind of bins, and everybody does segregation at source itself. If somebody has a plastic bottle, it will go in the plastic bin. Not go inside a wet bin, right? But in India, people don't do that. So it's a cultural issue. If that cultural issue can be resolved through
again technology, I find all the garbage bins, right? They should have some kind of sensor which will detect what kind of material. It's still complex.
Because it's a chemical process, right? How do we identify whether metal is fine? You can identify that it's a
based on weight and
so magnetic properties might be there, or something might be there, right? But how do I identify if it's a food particle or a plastic bottle?
How is the medical waste and
wet waste? So it's very hard to distinguish between them. So it has to be proactively done by the person who is doing it, throwing the garbage, right? So that segregation has to happen at the source itself. That's the best solution. It is not my saying, research has shown it. Everybody is agreeing for that. Like you cannot, so you need to develop a culture. So you need to run campaigns on it, like teach people what is the advantage of doing it and why it is important. We all see landfills in India, right? So if you go to Delhi, I am from Ghazipur, near Delhi. So there is a big landfill in Ghazipur where whenever I used to go to my like coaching center, so I used to pass that route, and the stench was like very bad. So you can smell it from 1 kilometer away that you are entering into that area, right? And you can see it like it's a mountain.
Exactly, it's a we are destroying mountains and making
landfills. So if you can, and then they burn it, and then the smog problem, the fog problem, the smog problem.
So this is my all-time worry, because I find Delhi. I worked in Delhi, right? I was in NDTV.
Right.
I was in Delhi for 2 years.
You were in Delhi for 2 years.
Greater Kailash.
Greater Kailash. Yeah. So then they're not very far off.
No? Yeah. So I was in Greater Kailash for 2 years. So I see this 2 segment of Delhi, right? One is extremely knowledgeable from somewhat, let's say, Oxford,
Intellectuals.
Very intellectuals. The other end is completely the opposite, and they live. The irony is they live in harmony. Means they are like, this person is working with the other one, or they are living in the same colony, or they are found ways to live together, but the problem haven't solved yet. Like for example, the pollution problem, or the traffic problem. So we find these people are from like what? They've been to US, they lived in London for like 10-15 years, they worked. Their communication is extremely sophisticated, but still there is a chaos, and they tend to live in harmony with the.
So there was a good study that was done which showed the difference between a Delhi metro station and a Delhi railway station. So why Delhi metro stations are so clean? So it's a behavioral aspect, right? You have to change the behavior of people. The same set of people are going to both the places.
Exactly.
So on the railway station also you will see the same set of people. On a metro also you will see the same set of people. Right? It's just that you will not see pan stains on the metro station.
Not just that, worse than that.
So it's a behavioral thing. So you have to build a culture like, okay, if people know that, okay, Delhi metro stations are clean, they'll try to keep it that way. So nobody will throw any garbage at any, they will throw it in a dustbin in a Delhi metro station. But if you see garbage lying somewhere in the railway station and nobody is cleaning it, you will throw it there. So we need to create that kind of behavioral change in the people. That is the...
Maybe a renaissance.
So it is happening now. If you go to Delhi railway station. So I went to Kanpur railway stations recent. So I keep going back to IIT Kanpur regularly. So I have seen the difference over the years. Earlier it was all like pretty dirty and lot of like broken tiles and all. But now you can see a lot of difference coming up, lot of cleaning happening. So if we have if we have the place clean itself, right, then people will not try and dirty it. If it is a dirty place, then people are okay with, okay, let me throw some more dirt on top of it. So that behavioral change has to come in people. I think that can only happen when you start taking initiative. The citizen body, the government body. So some of the initiatives by this government is pretty good. The central government, the Swachhta Abhiyan and all. So those are good. Those are and those should have a positive impact. But more has to be done. Lot more has to be done.
Exactly. So we are in a very surface level when it comes to sanitization, cleanliness. Maybe that leads to one or the other. Water contamination, disease, health issues, pollution. So
a lot of pollution happens in winters because first of all you're in Delhi. So because a lot of garbage is being burnt. And that has nowhere to go.
Warmth. By the bystanders. Road.
So they will burn, and whatever you are burning, that does not go out because there is no wind blowing at that point of time. That is why we face all these issues in Delhi. So it's a complicated issue. But it's not a tech problem. I don't think technology can
give solution.
But the technology is an enabler.
So I understand that. I understand. I'm talking about technologies which are not light years ahead. I'm talking about a technology which are like 20 years back. We are discussing about technology. I know these technologies are already out there. Because we don't see that in Japan. My co-founders are Japanese. I know their culture. I know how sanitization garbage industry works there. And I'm servicing US, so I know how US works. I know how the technology has been on ground level, like how it is impacting their life. Technology is already out there. The point is, iPhone launches on same day in India and US. I mean, that is it came to the hands of people. Someone who lives in Bihar in some remote village can have access to an iPhone on the same day of a person who get the access to iPhone in US. When this gap is
shrinking,
why the other technology gaps are not shrinking, which has to be shrinked, and why government has to take the step. Technology should be the enabler.
So I think government will take a step only if citizens are aware of it.
No. COVID, they made everyone sit in home, and they made everyone make mask. They made everyone get 2 dosage of what went inside.
That is because they were afraid if if had it spread like it happened in the second wave, right?
Exactly.
They will get a bigger backlash.
Exactly.
Right.
Government imposed it, right?
Yes.
We have different states, we have central state governments,
Right.
but government were able to impose this change across, unified.
Yes.
I know it is a pandemic and an emergency situation. So, but when government had that's set an example that government can do or make a overnight change. Let's say cash, demonetization.
Right.
Let's say or to a demonetization which overnight, right?
Yes.
Throughout India, government is taking aggressive steps.
Yes.
So why not they taking aggressive steps on this? Government should aggressively use technology. That's what I believe.
I also believe that.
Yeah, they need to be technology lovers. Like they need to update technology as quick than the individuals.
Right.
The point is individuals are using technology.
Right.
Like they use smartphones, they use the iPhones, they are using 5G internet, fibernet, but they are not using sanitization. For example, garbage disposal system is not fixed yet.
It's not fixed.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah,
a lot of problems are technology is there. I don't think technology is the issue there. It's the right kind of investment has to be done. So you need to motivate. Like there has been some progress on that. I am aware of some initiatives that have been taken, but it's relatively slow.
Okay.
Like investment in the garbage is not zero value in India.
Exactly.
If you look at it, a lot of garbage that we throw has a lot of return value.
Yes.
Right.
There are garbage collecting stalls. Or
right. That's why they are doing the segregation.
Yeah.
That's why there is a person who is getting paid to do the segregation. Because once you segregate the waste, which is organic, can be can be converted into fertilizer and sold back.
Or fire source. In the Europe, I don't know which exact country it is. Sweden. They use
they buy it.
They buy for garbage
from other countries
and make energy out of it, right? Yes. And they give like a fire, like a warming system.
Yes.
They're also burning garbage and making warmth, but in a more systematic and safe way, and making electricity out of garbage.
Yes.
And in Japan, there is an industry. It's a $1 billion company which just making garbage disposal companies there. There is a private company which is buying industrial waste, recycling it and burning it and making separating chemicals out of it. They are reusing it, and the company is a $1 billion company.
Oh, is it?
This company job is to set up a huge garbage plant. They collect garbage from industries and recycle it, and their company job is to not to make landfills. Basically, they are not making landfills.
Right.
So, but India is exporting garbage from foreign countries and putting on landfills, right?
Yeah.
So this is a shame. So there are technologies. People like you are working on hacking solutions, Hacklabs, trying to save. Of course, you have to make for industries at first, but I believe people like you should, or government should reach out to you, not just you. It's not like one way. Government should reach out to people like you to, hey, we have a problem. Maybe BBMP should, if some authorities are watching, if this video, they should reach out to you. They maybe hire you to find a solution for their problems. So we have been talking too much about socio-political and things.
It's fine. None of the discussions are
useless. It is. I find it's useful. I think more of such discussion should happen and reach people, reach people's ears.
Yes.
Coming back to Hacklab solutions.
Right.
So what is the next step? Now you have clients, you have found, and you are making solutions for specific industries based on their problems and mainly human safety problems. What is the next step?
So one of the things that I wanted to achieve, and I was trying to do that in 2019, was to scale our solutions in such a way that we can go outside India. So export our solutions to outside India.
Okay.
So not just the software part, but the hardware part as well.
So again, something like Hacksmith?
Not just not the innovations part, but the industrial solutions that
Okay, like making a mini mower.
not mini mower, the attachments that we are building for forklifts for sale.
Okay,
So
the
those
sensors to detect. Okay.
So we have now built a lot of things. So that was the first project that I was talking about, right? Now we have added a lot more things into it. So we have now solutions which can actively monitor the complete machinery. So how the machinery is performing, who is the operator, how he's operating, what is his productivity, what is the machine productivity, how much time that machine was under maintenance. So everything about that machine can be monitored through our sensors, right? We have added another vertical now where we have attached cameras on top of it. So now one of the major issues when we go to outside industries or any vehicle which is not in a constrained environment is that they can't give sensors to everyone. Right, a sensor, a smart sensor cannot be given to a person because it becomes very expensive to scale it. Like if there are 10,000 people working in a factory, giving a sensor, it becomes like a completely other budgetary issue, right? So now we have come up with a smart camera which is built on the machine itself, which can monitor what is happening around the machine and can control the machine. So if a person comes nearby, it knows what distance the person is at, and then it can slow down or stop the machine. So those kind of, and that is the same technology that we are trying to put on trucks also now.
Trucks, okay.
So because in a truck, obviously the pedestrian will not have a sensor, right? So you need to have a passive solution. You need to have a solution which can capture the images or capture the video or the some other lidar sensors, some source where you can monitor what is happening, and then
maybe 20-30 feet front and back,
and
now 360 degree.
360 degree view. So we are working. We signed an MOU with BEML now. BEML, BEML. Which is one of the largest manufacturers of mining equipment in India. So we are deploying our solutions on the vehicle. So it's an MOU that we have signed with the top brass there. So it's a big project for us, and we want to take it forward. So the next step for us would be to convert a machinery into a fully autonomous machinery. So let's say they have excavators which are excavating a mining area. Right,
earth movers,
big machines. Like you cannot even imagine the size that they have.
Got it.
Right. So how do we convert them into an autonomous machine so that we can not only increase the safety but also the productivity of those machines? Because one of the major issues that these companies are facing is mishandling of their machines.
Right? So
damaging. So basically, the machine is supposed to be used for certain tasks, right? So let's say if there is a dozer or a equipment for picking up some material, the operator might use it for picking up rocks, which is not meant for
maybe
that.
Only for sand or coal.
For coal, it is meant to take out coal or some small ground and all. It is supposed to take it out, right? But it is not supposed to handle certain varieties of rocks because the head will get damaged or the bucket which is there, that will get damaged.
Got it.
So how do we monitor that? How do we monitor that, okay, the person is not mishandling the equipment? How do we monitor, ensure that he is operating the machine in a safe way? Because a lot of excavators, when they are operating, they move rapidly across in 360 degree, anywhere they can go. And they have 6-7 degrees of freedom. They can move, their arms have 4 or 5 degrees of freedom. They can rotate and at a very fast pace also. So if a person is standing next to it, it is very high chance of that person getting hit machine if the operator is not careful, right? So a lot of issues are there in such machineries as well. So we want to focus on automating more and more of it, adding more and more features so that we can improve the safety of the person who is inside, person who is outside, improve the productivity of the person who is operating the machine. Because many of the tasks that it does, it is a repetitive task. So if an excavator is there, we know that what area it has to dig, right? How it has to dig. So all that process can be automated to some level, right? The person is still needed. It's not like you can remove the person from the loop. And I believe that there has to be a person who is supposed to be controlling the machine finally.
Probably not 50 people, maybe 5 to 10 people monitoring from a controlled
environment, or it can be on the site, whatever. But the task should happen efficiently. That is the goal. That has been the industrial process development that has happened over the years, right? The more and more efficiency you add, the better the system becomes, and the whole process is built to drive efficiency, right? So that is one area that we are actively looking at. Another area that we have is monitoring processes inside a industrial environment through cameras. So you have cameras like CCTV cameras almost everywhere now, but you don't have people who can monitor these cameras 24/7, right? So if there is a fire that is happening, and if you don't have a smoke alarm, then nobody can give an alert, right? So but cameras are there, CCTV cameras are there. So probably if we can...
Are Indian CCTV cameras working?
Yes.
Means it is working. Even I use a camera. For offices it's working. But the most of the cameras on streets or roads doesn't work. Means whenever at a time of crime or requirement, they say, no, the camera is not working. Maybe
so in an industrial environment, it is very controlled. So how you have your cameras are working?
Definitely, because there is a person to monitor securities will be monitored.
And because they have a requirement that they want to monitor the workers, and especially on the security side, so they make sure that it is working. CCTV cameras on the road per se, I can't say that.
Because nobody is accountable.
It is an inefficiency in the system itself. Like there is no person in an industrial environment, there is one security person who is responsible for that role, right? So if any of the cameras are not working, and if a top management person comes, he's the one who will be asked questions. We are not aware of what is the situation on the streets, right? So all the CCTV cameras are there. Probably BBMP or some other organization will be responsible for it. But is there a person who is supposed to answer, who is answerable to us? Right? So those feedback mechanisms are not there. I would say it's not just it's not a technical issue at all. It's a
far more complex.
It's a far more complex issue. It's a social issue.
Got it. So you are saying like industries using cameras. So okay, that's your next step. Again, to industries, catering to industry using AI.
So right now we want to focus on the industrial market.
Using AI. Are you using AI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the cameras, monitoring cameras and all, we use visual AI for detection what is happening inside the factories. Or the models that we have are quite similar to what we had already developed for machines. It's just that we can put larger systems in a factory setup than what we can deploy on a machine. So in a machine, we normally put 6 or 7 cameras. In a industrial environment, we have to cater to 100, 200 cameras, right? So the systems scale up, and that becomes an engineering challenge. Like, how do you scale up the system? How do you make the system? But that is good.
Recently in Kormangla,
yes.
I'm not sure whether you are aware. It was viral or trending on social media. Very near, close by. So there is one restaurant which was located in the 4th floor.
Okay.
Ground floor, there is some Nexa showroom.
Okay.
There was a blast.
There was blast?
Blast.
Okay.
It's a kitchen. It's a restaurant.
Okay.
On the top floor. Or a restaurant bar.
Right.
So cylinders were blasting.
Oh, I saw some videos.
A guy was jumping from the wall. A guy from 5-story building. A guy jumped because back of him, fire. It's like a flame is burning to the sky. So he have no option other than to jump, or else he will die. So that was kind of a hazardous environment we are at. Like I again say, we are living in metro city. Still, I think the awareness towards not just huge industries like Unilever or ITC. Even the small industries, I think they need to pay attention to.
So our office
security,
security is lacking in India, and a lot of investment has to be done. The major issue is the price of a life in India is very low. So if you look at some of the records, right? So one train accident happens, people are given 5 lakh rupees as right as a.
How do we control these train accidents? Because I don't remember hearing about train accident in the last 20 years, but recently we had a train accidents. What is the major reason? It should be controlled, right?
Yeah. So now I think a lot of technology is already in place
Yeah.
to prevent such accidents from happening. The one that happened recently in Odisha, that was a technical error in one of the...
Technical or manual? Human error?
Human error was also there. Lapses were there, like they were not they put the connectors wrong. So technology cannot function in that way. If you change the wire which was supposed to go in A slot, you put it in the B slot. There is no technology which can prevent you from happening. Ideally, that should not even have been possible. The system has to be designed in such a way that the connector itself will not go inside. But whatever is the case, but I don't think it is a technical issue now. Most of the actions that are happening are because of manual errors which are happening. And as we go ahead, I think those also will be resolved once more and more technology can be added. So there is a Kavach system which was launched a couple of years back. So
coverage system.
Kavach. So, Kavach is a setup where you put sensors on the trains to prevent any two trains from colliding.
Okay.
So there are a lot of technologies which are getting built, and a lot of good technology that is built out of India. So such kind of systems are very cost effective, the Indian systems, compared to the European ones or the US ones, right?
Okay.
So good technology is coming up, and I think I don't think so airplane industry is very safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is surprising. Every time, of course, it's a good thing. It should be safe. At least train, if there is a malfunction, it can just stop and we can get down somewhere. But flight.
So basically, it's more of how the industry takes
safety seriously. Yeah.
So if you think about the airline industry, they take safety
is their top priority. Because you're on thousands of feet on sky. Anything goes wrong,
even trains, if you think you are traveling at 80 miles per hour, 20 miles, 100 miles an hour, right? Now this Vande Bharat is 150, 160 kilometers per hour, right? So you are traveling at very high speed. It's not like you can directly stop the train. So safety has to be mandatory there also. It has to be your first priority.
Just because it's on ground,
you cannot ignore it. If there is a crack in one of the rail lines, it hardly takes 1 second for the whole train to come out of the track, right? You can't build you have to make sure that does not happen. Safety has to be a prime driver for most of these things. Then only you can reduce it. And the only reason why airline industry was able to do it, because they took safety as the most important thing.
Topmost priority.
So
even in India, like airport, that's the irony. The people, right? They are the same people who use trains also, go to railway stations also, but they maintain the airports clean.
Right.
They follow all the security check, because you are surrounded by like 5-6 people with CISF Jawans, so they are intimidated, and you cannot negotiate what you do in train, right? Like in railway station.
I think it has a lot to do with an investment also. So in an airport, there is a lot of investment done on maintaining the cleanliness. Right, so a lot of people are there on round the clock working to maintain the toilets, maintain the flooring, cleaning it up regularly. If same kind of investment is done on the railway station, I think that will also become as neat as it is. Right, metro stations are very neat. There are regular staff which are going and cleaning it. There is at these a lot of security that checks which happen. If you go to a railway station, the person who is there on the railway station at the entry for checking you does not even care what you're carrying.
Yeah.
Right. So that does not happen on the metro stations. In a metro station, there is a person who is responsible
monitoring the things what you're taking in. Yeah.
So it's all about like how much investment you are putting it in making that system per se. It's not, and in some cases, I think even technology can help here. So let's say there are cameras everywhere. You can easily monitor what is going on in different areas. You can give alerts. You can have people who can take actions on people in real time, right? So rather than in India, let's say if you throw something, there might be a fine, but nobody is enforcing it. So there is a law which is out there, but rule of law is not there. So nobody is enforcing the law, and that is the issue. If there is a policeman who is standing, who is asking people to wear seatbelt, everyone will wear seatbelt. But if there is no policeman there, nobody will wear seatbelt.
So they are asking, paying, getting fined, letting them go.
So that is a corruption issue. That is a separate issue. But at least as long as, even if they are taking bribe and letting them through, people will not want to give bribe. So most of them will wear seatbelt, right? So that is, I think, enforcement of most of the rules that we have. Now, if we can just enforce them on the ground, most of our issues will resolve. In US and all, they have enforcers who enforce, like if you are traveling at higher speed, there are people who are monitoring your speed, right? And if you are not doing that properly, you can be charged some fine, which is pretty huge, right?
Interesting.
So enforcing is one of the major issues which is there. I feel that has to be resolved somehow.
Interesting. Of course, we talked a lot about your expertise. You have expertise in custom building safety tools or safety system for industries. We talked about a lot about that. And we also talk about a lot of social issues which might reach the right ears.
Yes.
Maybe I hope they reach out to you also. With that, we came to the end of the podcast. It was a very interesting discussion I had with you. Any closing thoughts for your audience or people who are watching this video?
So just make sure that you follow your citizen responsibility, whatever we have discussed so far. Like safety is should be everybody's top priority. Sanitation, not just safety of yourself, but also your people who are working around you. Right? You need to be taking care of them also. So their safety is also your responsibility. As a citizen of this country, it is one of our fundamental duties, right? To ensure that everyone around us is safe from whatever problems we are seeing. And we need to work as a group to basically come up with a solution. Come up with a solution for it.
Well, that's very thoughtful. I wish to see hacksmith kind of industries set up in Bangalore. You're running Hacklabs industries, so that I can come in and walk in and give you any custom idea whatever we have for personal or consumer needs. So we should be able to make that. I think we have the talent, but we do not have the right encouragement for the talents.
The environment is not there. Basically, talent is obviously the same people when they go to the US.
Because these people are being hired, right? Indians are
so
hired
talent is pretty good. If you see, Indians have very good talent in all the domains: medical domain, industrial domain, IT, everything. You can see top management,
even finance,
top technical people everybody is an Indian, right? In most of the companies, but in India especially, the same quality of people is there, whatever people are there in US. Why we are not able to grow that fast? It's just that we are not able to focus our energy into a certain area. If we start focusing it, if we start making sure that whatever we say, we do that same thing, right? So if there is a rule of law, we follow the rule of law. There should not be that mera baap yahan pe kaam karta hai, or that kind of dialogue bazi that we do, right? So that becomes like a challenge. So we need to follow whatever. So our processes have to be built in such a way that we can focus our energy in certain directions. So we should focus our energy in building proper mechanisms of ensuring, let's say we talked about waste sanitation, right? Processes have to be built in such a way that it is done at the source. If it is not done, then you enforce it. So there has to be an enforcement. So if the process is not built, then nothing can work. If we talk about developing a product, there has to be a process that has to be built. It's more about the process. It's not about the technical part. We are very good at technology. There are people who are so brilliant that they can build whatever they want to build, right? But building a process is the most important thing. Building an environment, a framework where people can do things which they want to achieve, right? So that is the most important thing, which is what we are lacking. We don't have a process building mechanism. So you look at our roads. So roads are very easily fixable, right? If you have a proper maintenance procedure for it, if you have people who are going to the site for regular inspections, roads are easily fixable. It's not like one pothole comes one day suddenly, right?
Exactly.
It takes time to come up.
Yeah. So in Japan or in the East Asian countries, if there is a damage in a segment of road, they take 100 meter. It's like the complete road has been rebuilt, not just where the damage happened. But in India, wherever the damage happened on the particular area, the fix is done. What happens is, so that level raises and surrounding non-damaged area gets getting damaged. So I think that's the issue. To fix the issue, you need to cut the complete area out.
You need to process. So this is what they have built. No, they have done a process for it. So like nobody can go out of it. So everywhere, wherever there is a pothole, you will follow the same process, and that process has been scientifically proven. Like okay, this is what we need to do, and the road has to be leveled. It is not. Some parts are up, some parts are down.
Again, because that will tend to break more damage.
So these are processes which everybody has to follow, and you have to build those processes. Why all these stations are not clean and metro stations are clean? Because there is a process that they have built. They have built a cleanliness process. Like okay, somebody is going and cleaning it regularly,
checking every day. That is someone monitoring.
Somebody is monitoring. There are dustbins at right location. Earlier, when I was young, I used to go to a lot of stations, and I had to walk like from one station to the end of that station just to find a dustbin. To throw let's say I was drinking something and I wanted to throw that bottle somewhere. So, but in a metro station, you will find dustbins in regular intervals, right? So that process is there. So everything comes down to a proper process and enforcement of that process. You can have a lot of big technical machinery everywhere. You can have a lot of things, but if your processes are not right, I can put sensors everywhere. I can put cameras everywhere. But somebody has to take initiative to monitor it, right? You have to build a framework around it, saying that technology can help improve that process, but it cannot eliminate the process itself.
That's very interesting, thoughtful. I think this message reaches everyone, like whoever is watching this video. And once again, thank you so much for taking part in this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
All the very best to Hacklabs Solutions.
Same to you. Good podcast that you are doing. I saw some of the other ones also. Pretty interesting.
Thank you so much. Because it's because of guests like you, like I try to learn and also share my thoughts.
That is how the podcast should happen.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vikram.
Thank you.